Hello there guys, and welcome back to another episode of Rebuilding Histon, and it's the start of Season 4 and our third season in Southern League Premier Division. Hopefully it's our final season here and we can get promoted into the official Football Manager leagues, either the National League North and National League South. Let's just take you through what's been happening in terms of transfers, starting off with what's been happening at the back end of last season. So, one player that went out on a free transfer was Ellis Miles. Didn't seem fitting in our team in the future because of his star rating. I thought we could find some better players from him. He was a valuable servant though in the last couple of seasons. Only made 6 appearances last year, but 18 appearances in his first season with us was absolutely crucial. Got some good average ratings as well, 6.8 and 6.9 over his time with us. Only 2 assists in total though, unfortunately, for his from his stats, but one of those things, he's a right back. He doesn't need to be getting assists. It's got to be the wingers. And speaking of wingers, we have managed to sign a pretty good one. A man named Hogan Ephraim. QPR fans will know who this man is because he used to play for them quite a considerable amount of time, as you can see right here. He joined them back in 2008 for £850,000. That was probably one of Flavio Briatore's signings or something like that back when he owned QPR. Then was involved in the team majority of his time there. Dropped down as soon as they got promoted to the Premier League. Went on loan to Bristol City and Charlton. Wasn't really getting games. Came back to QPR. Eventually was released. Went to Peterborough for one season. Went to Wycombe for another season. Then went to Braintree in the first season that we had. We started the game, and then he had 2 seasons there before he came to. He actually had a season out of football before coming to us at the back end of last season. And now he's going to be having his first full season with us at the start of this season. His first full season in about 2 years. So hopefully he hasn't got any rust and he can provide that little bit of quality that we need in that winger position. As you can see, he's currently at a 2.5 star rating. He's the best attacking mid-right we've currently got, ahead of Jack Friend and Steve Reed. I'll speak about Jack Friend in a bit because he was a new signing as well. And the other signing we brought in towards the end of last season was Liam Tomzet. Now, he says he's a good player, and as you can see here, he's very good at deep line playmaker. So this is the replacement for Callum Frew if Frew ends up getting suspended or injured, and we've got this guy to come in straight away to then get into the team and ensure that we don't lose too much in terms of our quality. He's only 2.5 stars, but that's pretty good in terms of the amount of players that we've got. He's the same sort of rating as Callum Frew apparently, and he's a good player when it comes to most Southern Premier League sides. The only problem is his positioning isn't greatest at 5, but don't think oh yeah, that's the only stat that I'll probably say that's bad out of all the other important stats. Balance as well, but positioning is probably the crucial one. I think I've got him doing that. No, I haven't. I've got him all off the ball. I might actually switch him up to. I'll do this again. I can't believe I didn't do this off camera. We should have done that earlier on. Yep. So that was the last signing we had at the end of last season. And then at the start of this season, quite a few players have been released. Simeon May, Brian Schmeichel, Stephen Cox, Ryan Williams, and Simon Bonner were all released on free transfers. Unfortunately for us, a couple of players then left us that we signed to non-contracts. Chris Wallace, one of our young goalkeepers, is now at Chippenham on a non-contract. That's really unfortunate that we were unable to keep hold of him, but we did manage to find a replacement goalkeeper for the future. Steve Higgs as well has gone out. He actually signed an actual long-term deal, a full-time contract, £110 per week with Eastbourne Town, who currently sits in the 8th in Division 1 South. Hopefully he has a good successful career there. He was on the fringes of our team, and I thought he was going to get back into the team at some point, but unfortunately he wasn't willing to wait a little bit longer. So unfortunately he's gone, but we're looking to get a good replacement in at centre back, only for a 1-year rental though, which will hopefully come into the deal will come through before the start of the next episode. We then also lost David Pickwell, who's another backup goalkeeper. Went off to join Salisbury, who are now in the National League South. As you guys remember from last year, they won the league, and he's now probably going to be. Is he starting for them, or have they actually not played? Have they played a game yet? I don't think they've played a game yet. I'll just have a quick look. Oh, they have played games. It looks like he's not playing straight away at the moment. If you look at the players, he most likely be the backup because Adam Parks is still in goal for them. Or he's in the under-23s or something like that, or under-18s. Is he anyway? He's apparently in the senior squad. Yes, he is there. He's on the substitute bench, so he is the backup goalkeeper now for Salisbury. which would have been the same situation for him if he'd stayed with us. He'd probably been the backup for us, but I guess he wants to get more experience at a higher level. Then we've got a couple of players that are all out on loan. We won't really go through all of these. These are all youngsters. A couple of them look pretty good, and I thought give them that first team experience at some of these other teams. Now, in terms of the transfers we've brought in, we've only brought in 4 players, but they're all pretty good players in my opinion. Kai Smith is a backup left back and centre back, so I think he's going to be a really good player for us. If you sign him from Brackley, 2.5 stars according to his rating. Played 33 appearances 33 times last year for Brackley after being promoted from Brackley Town Saints. We go to his coach summary. He's only just behind Callum Carrillo, but he's better than Jordan Goff, and he's also younger than Jordan Goff. So that's a fantastic signing, I think, in terms of getting an improved backup left back in case Carrillo goes down. Jordan Goff did have a good season last year, but we just need that little bit more quality, and also that centre back cover in case one of the other centre-backs decides to go down with an injury or suspension. It says he's very well suited to some of them Premier League football, which is fantastic. We then signed Steve Goddard, a right-back this time, 3-star rating, so he is better than Harry Osborne and Adi Osifu, which is fantastic to see. He's only 19 years of age as well. The only downside is he is on a non-contract, so we've got to keep an eye on if he does start playing really well, and he starts attracting interest from clubs that want to sign him on a actual contract basis. We may have to sign him up onto a full-time deal, but we'll have to wait and see for that. Used to be an academy trainee at Wolves, as you can see. Was there for 3 seasons, but didn't make a first-team appearance for them before being released, and then we've decided to pick him up, which is, I think, a very good signing for us. Wolves actually are in the Premier League. If you guys didn't know, they were promoted via the playoffs at the end of last season. So we've essentially got one of the Premier League academy player that's come to our team. Then up next we have Jack Friend, who used to play for Banbury and actually played against us a couple of times. I think he scored against us in a couple of fixtures that he had. He's played 3 seasons with them. He was with them last season when they were in the Vanarama North. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to keep them up and only managed to score 11 goals compared to his 26 that he had in 2017-18. But I'm hoping this free transfer will be absolutely fantastic for us, and that we can get that, again, that depth at that striking position. Just so, yes, we have Josh Green, who scored a ton full of goals last season, especially even though he was only at 2-star rating. But Jack Friend, according to his star rating, is 2.5 stars, so he's slightly better than Josh Green. But it's nice to have that depth in case Josh Green stops firing for a couple of games, and then we can bring him in. He's played pretty well so far in pre-season when we signed him, so fingers crossed he's been a good signing for us. 22 years of age, so he's got room to grow. Apparently he's got a potential ability of getting up to 4 stars, so could be a potential, I think, National League North, National League South player in the future. And the fact he's already got that experience already is fantastic. And then lastly, a goalkeeper we signed, Karim Lawson, on a non-contract. He's currently in our under-23s at the moment, but I'm hoping he's going to be the new starting goalkeeper as soon as either Reece Bills is touted up or our current backup, Luke Holcomb, is taken away from us because he's on a non-contract as well. Bills is still on a full-time deal, so fingers crossed he will stay around and we will only get money for him. He used to play for Charlton, as you can see here, but didn't make a first-team appearance like can't remember his name again, Goddard. But yeah, he's going to be coming into the team, starting off in the under-23s, and then we'll promote him up when necessary. So hopefully our business is done. We've done some very good business there. Not many signings, but there's a couple of signings that we've converted. A couple of our players that we've converted to non-contracts. Guys like Luke Harding, Marshall Katung's still on a non-contract. Luke Harding's now on a non-contract. Danny Walton, our captain's on a non-contract. So we've just got to keep an eye on as to who could possibly be leaving us during the season. Luke Holcomb is currently under a bid, so that means we may have to bring up our goalkeeper that we've just signed. I can't remember his name is again. I can't really. Karim Lawson, that's his name. Should remember that from now on though. So I'll just have a quickly show you what the league looks like. It's obviously the start of the season. We actually we were third favourites to go up this season, but we've now dropped down to 5th favourites. I think because players have been signed by other clubs. Hereford are now favourites once again to get promoted. They didn't actually get promoted in the end. They actually lost to Dorchester in the playoff final, which was very sweet to see. So we're going to have another good rivalry with them next season, which will be fantastic. But also interesting to see that Rugby, a team that was promoted last season, is ahead of us in terms of the season predictions. So hopefully we can do better than what we've got here. Yes, it would be nice. Yes, that's better than what the board expects us to do. We're expected to finish in the top half again, but I'm obviously going to be aiming for that promotion now that we had a taste of those playoffs. So, without further ado, let's get into the first game of the league season, which is a home match against Weymouth. I know you've probably seen, I think you've seen Weymouth before, but I'm not 100% sure off the top of my head, but you guys will, it doesn't really matter, to be honest, because that's what happens in this save. We always play the opening game of the season. We've actually got a away match against Worcester, who were relegated to this division last season, and we've got them second, so that will be a good test for us to see if we can come up against a former National League North team. In terms of the tickets, we've got 433 sold. 104 season tickets actually were sold for us this season, and oh yeah, actually there's another thing I need to mention. We're upgrading our youth facilities, so as you can see the balance has dropped down to 47,000. That's mainly because of a massive cost of our youth facilities. If I can quickly get to there, other £96,000 has gone out, and that's because of the youth facility cost. Oh no, sorry, it's ground maintenance. £132,000 in terms of ground maintenance, which is the upgrade to the youth facilities, and I think that should be finished by April. So hopefully we can start. That's going to help us generate more youth products like Josh Green and like Robert Lee, as I mentioned before. He's not in the team at the moment, Robert Lee, but I'm just going to keep him in that the under 18s and under 23s for now, just so he develops a little bit more. So in terms of the team we're going for today, we're going to go for Reece Bills in goal, Steve Goddard, the new right back at right back. This is what it says on the tin there. Harry Osborne and Jack Rodriguez at centre back as a solid centre back pairing. Sorry, I slurred my words there. Kevin Carrillo at left back, but we may end up bringing on a bit later on, maybe Kai Smith a bit later on in the season, depending on what the conditioning is. Liam Tomset's actually playing at ball-win midfielder because Danny Waldron and Alfie Davidson have been suspended, as you guys remember from the last episodes when we had the playoffs. Callum Frew is at deep line playmaker. Hogan Ephraim on the right hand side with Carl Pritchard on the left. Justin Mays on the bench because he's just come back from injury, so that's why we're easing him back into the team, and he's going to come on hopefully at half time. Then we've got James Difford and Jack Friend, who's actually is an advanced forward, as you can see here. His best role is an advanced forward, which is fantastic to see. Yes, so we don't have to keep training Josh Green and playing him out of position, but we will still be playing Josh Green at advanced forward in case anything happens to Jack Friend or we decide to start Josh Green. He's going to come off the bench though, fingers crossed. Hopefully he's not needed, but I might just give him a go depending on what's happening. So without further ado, let us get into the match today. We'll have to have a quick look and see who is favourite for this match. A lot of players are lacking match sharpness, but that's one of those things you just have to deal with. If we now get into the game. Alright, that took a little bit longer than expected. We are 5-4 favourites in this match, and Weymouth are currently 7-4 favourites. And apparently we're only going to go down as a draw. Let's hope we can upset the apple cart there, and we can get ourselves a victory on the opening day of the season. Tick that one off on your bingo Football Manager bingo cards. Let's continue to do what we normally do with the tactics and the opposition instructions. Don't know many of these players now because they've probably been moving around left and right. Reece Meekums I do remember from before. I think he used to. Did he play for Weymouth before? I'm pretty sure he did. Yes, he did. He's always been playing for Weymouth since we've been in this division. So without further ado, let's get into the team tour. Let's hope we can get a good result at the start of the season. Let's going to give them a passionate talk. Everyone's listening keenly. Let's see if we can get some motivations. One person looks happy for now. Midfielders, anybody? One person looking happy again, but the morale's looking pretty good, so hopefully that doesn't have much of an effect in terms of their reactions. So fingers crossed we can get into this game as we now begin game 1 of season 4. Let's hope that this is going to be another successful season. It's taking a little bit longer than expected, unfortunately. There we go. Weymouth are kicking off from right to left, as you can see right there in the yellow. Meekins on the left hand side to Crawford, up to Johnson. And Osborne was going to win that, but that's the end of the highlights. Okay, so it's half time and nothing has actually happened in this game. It's a bit of a disappointing thing at the moment, so let's fingers crossed we can get a good team talk out of this. We may have to bring on make a substitution as well quite early on to see if we can change the course of the game. Looks like some of the players are motivated, which is fantastic. Everyone's looking a lot more morale in terms of their morale, looking a lot better. James Difford looking motivated. Jack Friend hasn't really had an impact so far. He's only on 6.3, so maybe the time to bring on Josh Green and also Justin May on that left hand side to see if that makes a difference. We now begin the second half. Let's see if we can get back into this game and get the all-important goal. Based on the stats though, it's not been very interesting. As you can see, only one shot on target for both teams at the moment. Right, it's time for a substitution now. I'm going to bring on Justin May for the last 33 minutes or so, because Carl Pritchard's only on a 6.4. We may also bring on Josh Green in a minute, but I'm going to keep the 2 strikers on for now and see what happens with Justin May on the pitch. I forgot to mention as well, pre-season's actually been going pretty well for us. We only lost 2 games. We actually managed to get a lot of goals, especially against some of the teams near the top of the or in the higher divisions, which was fantastic. We're actually going to make another substitution now because we're again not really doing anything that's been causing Weymouth any problems here. 5 shots, 2 on target for us, as we're now going to bring on Josh Green for the last 23 minutes or so. Right, final substitution. I'm taking off Liam Tomzet and bringing on Phil Wolfe. That's probably more of a defensive substitution, but yeah, we need that because Tomzet's only on a 64% rating in terms of his conditioning, so we need to get some freshness in that midfield in case we get overrun at some point during the counter-attack, because we have gone on overload for the last 5 minutes or so. Entering the last 2 minutes, and there hasn't been a single highlight in the entire match. It's been really disappointing here. We're going to go passionate here and push forward, I think. We're just going to have to go for it with just the 2.5 minutes remaining. Based off the league table, looks like Hitchin have made a good start to the season. Currently sitting in first place, along with Ashford. Oh, we may have a highlight here, but that's the end of the game. That's the end of the game highlight, and that's only a 0-0 draw to start the season, which was one of those things, I guess. And we're going to be, I'm not going to be too harsh on the players. We just got to get back into the swing of things for the next game. We didn't lose, that's the main thing, but we could score, which was not good. Hereford lost 2-1, which is fantastic. That's good to see. We're developing a little bit of rivalry with Hereford after what's been happening the last couple of seasons, especially after they knocked us out in the playoffs. But it's a point in the first game of the season. Let's hope we can get back to winning ways in the league as soon as possible. Hopefully by the next match, which is away at Worcester. Okay, in terms of what game to do next later on in the season, it will probably be a game around this sort of time. Maybe Oxford City away, who have just come back up into the division. Merthyr Town away is also an interesting tie because of them also missing out in the playoffs. But it could be any game, depending on what happens with regards to the the FA Cup and the FA Trophy coming into the effect early on in the season. So this will be the end of the episode. A bit of a boring one, unfortunately, with regards to the match. But I'm hoping that the new signings that we brought in will allow us to push us forward and ensure that we can get a really successful season under our belts. As you can see, I was going to mention before, only lost twice in the whole of pre-season. That was against Cambridge and Peterborough. Peterborough are now in the Championship, as I mentioned before in the last episode. Derby, we drew 4-4 with Derby, which I thought was fantastic. And then ever since the loss to Peterborough, we've then won all our pre-season friendlies, scoring 6 against Warthwood away from home, despite having us sending off, and winning 7-2 against AFC Rushden Diamonds. Don't know why we haven't been able to score so far after that home match against Weymouth. Maybe some of the players are looking a little bit tired after that, so hopefully that hasn't backfired too much. Fingers crossed we can get back to winning ways properly in the league, this time away at Worcester City off camera. So without further ado, I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. If you did, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you for the next episode. So until then, see you later.